Okay, so good evening, everyone. Today we will have 6 presenters started from Hasbi. Hasbi, are you ready? Hello, Hasbi.
Nirmala, since Hasbi maybe has a problem with the internet connection, maybe we can continue for the next presenter.
Okay. So Putri, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready. Wait.
Okay. Okay, so Putri, time is yours.
Oke, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So,
Waalaikumsalam.
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. In this occasion, I will do a presentation about the effect of listening music. So, in this occasion, I will do a presentation about the effect of listening to music on the pronunciation of lower intermediate Iranian EFL learners by Mehrans Arjomat, presented by myself, Trilovi Pasenta, and my registration number is 52. Introduction. The importance of pronunciation. Pronunciation has a central role in students' communicative abilities, so the agency tried to establish productive method for enhancing the Iranian EFL learners' pronunciation. And the problem of the study is the existing methods like a comprehensive approach for teaching the English sound system adequately. And for the solution is listening to music can be used to improve pronunciation for EFL learners. And the purpose of the study is to investigate whether listening to music has any significant effect on EFL learners' pronunciation at the lower intermediate level student in Iran. And for the research question is how the effect of listening to music on pronunciation of lower intermediate Iranian EFL learners. And then let's move to literature review. First one is Anderson said that prosodic deviance may affect comprehension more adversely than those segmental deviance. And Janet said that native-like pronunciation of English can no longer be the ultimate goal of teaching. Instead, the goal is to achieve comfortable intelligibility. And last one is Yar Muhammadi, an important issue to concentrate on is the issue of the English sounds that do not occur in Persian and the sounds that are pronounced differently in two languages. And then research methodology. The participant of this study is 80 female and male Iranians. They were adult EFL learners. And for the design is quasi-experimental, and the instrument is pre-test and post-test. And for data analysis is quantitative data. And the procedure is the participants were divided into experimental and control group randomly. The participants take a reading test as pre-test to test the recognition of pronunciation, and 12 songs of the book American English File as a treatment in experimental group, and 12 tracks of short stories presented in as a part of treatment in control group. And last one is the participant did an oral post-test. And for the variable is, for For independent variable, listening to music, and dependent variable is pronunciation skills. And for the result, as you can see here, there was a significant improvement on student pronunciation. And for the discussion, the result of the study are accordance with the finding of Ricard, music rhythm and movement create a link between the right brain's processing of music and rhythm and the left brain processing of verbal information. And Baker state to develop a lesson plan around a song that can be an avenue to teach pronunciation. And for the conclusion, in the table that has been shown, there was a significant difference between pre-test and post-test of pronunciation. Thus, it can be concluded that music had significant effect on EFL learners' pronunciation ability. And for the recommendation, it is very important to choose the song based on students' level, age, and preference, as well as the level of difficulty of the song and its rhythm. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much Putri for the presentation. And if you have any question, you can unmute yourself or type your question in the chat box. Yeah, everyone, if you have any question related to Putri's presentation, you can unmute yourself or using raise hand feature or type your question in the chat box. Oh, okay. Okay. So Haliza, please you can unmute yourself and ask your question to Putri.
All right, thank you so much, Mala. Does my voice is clear enough?
Yes, Haliza.
All right, thank you so much for the opportunity. So my question for Putri's presentation is, how can the Iranian students pronounce academic words if most of today's songs are songs that use non-formal and non-academic words? What do you think? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Haliza, for your question. So generally, the vocabulary used in music is vocabulary in our daily life, so that they can improve the pronunciation of vocabulary in everyday life. With being able to know the correct pronunciation in their daily life, they are also likely to be able to easily pronounce the academic word because the pronunciation is not too different from the pronunciation of other words. Is that answer your question, Haliza?
I see, I see. Okay. Thank you, Putri, for the answer.
Okay.
Okay, and for Ripka, sorry, since we only have one question for one presenter, maybe you can ask your question to other presenter. And thank you so much, Putri, for the great presentation. And next presenter is Hasbi. Are you ready? I think he still has an issue with her presentation. And Shauki, are you ready?
Yes, I guess.
Okay. You can share your screen and time is yours.
Can everyone see the scene?
Yes, Shauki, it's clear.
Okay, so good night, everyone. My name is Saukis Vinasadi, and Tonight, I will present to you about the effects of using mobile device on English listening diversity and speaking for EFL elementary students. So the introduction part, the background of this research is that English has become the primary language in many fields, which involves reading, writing, speaking, and listening. And the problem that has that the researchers want to research is because the limited opportunities to speak or listen to a speech in English in countries where it's not the primary language, and reading and writing are emphasized than speaking and listening. So the solution that they got for this are the mobile technology can help students develop listening and speaking skills. The mobile technology makes it more convenient for the students to conduct a wide range of activities. And the purpose of this study is to investigate how students perceive learning activities supported by mobile technologies and the relationship between their perceptions, intentions, and actual system usage for practicing EFL speaking and listening skills. It also examined what type of practice can have positive learning outcomes by providing evidence data. And the research question is, how much student can benefit in EFL skills with the use of mobile technology? And the literature review about that they use for this research are, first, mobile technology assist in language learning, which this literature stated that M-learning can aid both formal learning in traditional classrooms and informal settings outside of them. This study used a mobile learning system to help English language learning with a focus on speaking and listening skills. It is student rather than teacher-led because mobile devices are related to individual specific contextual needs. And the second one is developing listening and speaking skills with the assistance of mobile technology. Stated that M-learning activities encourage students to engage in the learning process, more incorporating learning games into an English listening and speaking course could achieve better outcomes and motivation for students who are English language learner or EFL learners. Huang, Chen, Liu, and Chu's study in 2010 proved that M-learning help improve student motivation and outcomes. And the research method they use are, the participant in this study was carried out on 33 fifth grade elementary school students, 10 with the age of 10 or 11 years old. None of the students had previous language acquisition experience using mobile device, but did have experience using computers and the internet. And the design of this research is a mobile phone app enabled students to freely practice their EFL listening and speaking skills. Students could listen to the self-recorded speech as well as to the speech of peers and the teacher. Learning activities were carried out in a sequence from easy to difficult with elements of fun. And the tools used are questionnaire, pretest, and the post-test. And the research on discussion is system usefulness and students' intention to use significantly correlate with each other. The result suggests that students of this study positively accept the system and learning activities. Most students prefer to listen to recordings made by their friends first and then to those recorded by students who perform better. However, listening to recordings of students with better performance help language proficiency significantly more than listening to their own recordings. And I forgot to change the conclusion title. So the conclusion of this research are the study investigated how students perceive such learning activities and the relationship between their perceptions, intentions, and actual system usage for practicing EFL speaking and listening skills. It also examined what type of practice can have positive learning outcomes by providing objective evidence. The study provide several implications and suggestions for future study design and research. Taiwanese elementary school students use mobile device to develop listening and speaking skills. The lack of a control group mean that the study could not evidently compare learning performance of students using mobile device with those who use traditional teaching tools as paper and pen and pencil. That is all from my presentation.
Okay, thank you, Shauki, for the great presentation. And if you guys have any question related to Shauki's presentation, you can raise your hand, or you can unmute yourself, or you can type your question in the chat box. Okay, Adinda, please unmute yourself and have your say and state your question to Shauki.
All right, thank you for the opportunity, Mala and Shauki. So yeah, as far as I know, not every students are know and understand the way to use mobile technology. So my question is, how do you think the teacher will solve the what should I call it, gaptech student? So what do you think, Shauki?
In my opinion, I think because even though the students, wait, let me open this again. Okay, so since the students don't really know, I mean, they don't have any previous language acquisition experience using the mobile device, they still can learn pretty fast because they already have experience in using other technologies such as computer and the internet itself. So learning to use the mobile might be easier to catch on and learn more about the mobile device. I think something like that. Okay. How?
So Adinda, does Shauki's answer your question?
Yes, Mala, it's already answered. Thank you, Shauki.
Okay, and again, thank you so much, Shauki, for the great presentation. And for the next presenter is Hasbi here. Okay, it seems like he still has an issue with the preparation. And for next presentation, Devi, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, please share your screen and time is yours.
Okay. Is my screen showing?
Yes, Devi, it's clear.
Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Anissa Devi Apsari. My number is 54. And the article that I use is titled The Influences of the Flipgrid app on Vietnamese EFL high school learners speaking NCD. It is written by, I think, teachers from the Canto University, Vietnam. The introduction, the importance of speaking. To be competent in English, learners need to master all four skills, namely listening, speaking, reading, and writing. And among these four skills, speaking is a foremost skill that bridges students to the world. the problem that researchers found is that there are many factors that influence EFL learners' speaking performance, but the most potential factor is the learner's NCD. Then, from learner's NCD, it can also resulting in the lack of English knowledge, low communication proficiency, and also being unprepared. And the solution given is to apply ICT into the classroom, which in this research is Flipgrid, to help students succeed in dealing with NCD in learning to speak English. The research questions are: first, does Flipgrid help EFL learners reduce their speaking NCD in a high school in the Mekong Delta? Second, what are EFL high school learners' attitudes towards the use of Flipgrid in learning to speak? The literature review. First, there's the Flipgrid, an artificial intelligence technology for language education, which is an online video-mediated communication tool in the hope that it may help EFL learners not only to reduce their NCD for learning English speaking, but also enhance their speaking performance. And as mentioned by Mango 2019, Flipgrid is a valuable tool for speaking practices and help reduce EFL learners' NCD and build up their confidence in learning to speak English using AI technology. Second, there is the foreign language NCD, a problem in language learning. It is considered to be one of the most significant factors influencing the learning of a foreign language, while by Young 1999, they defined it as the complex psychological phenomenon or the worry and negative emotional reaction arose when learning or utilizing a second language. Next, there's the methodology. The participants for this research were high school students in Mekong Delta. This research designed with the one group pretest and post-test quasi-experimental and use qualitative and quantitative data collecting. The instruments is Foreign Language Classroom NCD Scale or FLCAS, questionnaires, and also interviews. Then there's the procedures. First, students did 9 weeks of utilizing Flipgrid for learning, which is split into 10 stages. The first stage was used for students to practice using Flipgrid, and then the 9 stages, they did oral presentation where they given topic and also they were given time to talk about the topic. And the second is FLCAS was being held during pre-test and post-test. And then there's the questionnaire and interviews that were being held during the post-test. The findings from the two tables, it shows that they by using Flipgrid, there is a decrease in the EFL learners' level of speaking NCD after they experience the using Flipgrid for speaking for 9 weeks. And from the table 3, descriptive statistics of the questionnaire, there is the mean. The mean is 3.93. It showed the high level of positive attitudes in light of because they use the Oxford frameworks, having 4.0 is the highest, so the score of 3.93 is considered the high level of positive attitudes. And then the discussion, it is found that Flipgrid can help EFL high school learners reduce their anxiety in learning English speaking, and the learners responded positively to the use of Flipgrid in learning English speaking. This statement is in line with the previous study, which were first, Flipgrid helped improve learners' speaking skill by McLean 2018, Miscom and Saidalfi 2019 and Mango 2019, and also it's also in line with the second previous study. Learners' expectation of the use of Flipgrid in learning English speaking was satisfied by Stoskowski 2018, Bartlett 2018, and Johnson and Scarpel 2018. The last is conclusion and recommendation. The conclusion, based from the findings, it can be concluded that Flipgrid helped EFL high school learners in reducing their speaking anxiety, and the EFL high school learners too showed the high positive attitudes towards the use of Flipgrid in learning English speaking. And the recommendation, first, further research should be implemented on a larger sample population so that the result of the study can be generalized to all the groups of high school students of a nation or a continental area. And the second, further studies in the field should concentrate on the effects of the Flipgrid app on the EFL high school learners' pronunciation or the interaction effects of the Flipgrid app across the feedback received by the learners too. And that's all. Thank you. Do you have any question?
Yeah, thank you so much, Devi, for the great presentation. And Fatihul has raised his hand. So yes, Fatihul, you can unmute yourself and ask your question right away to Devi.
Okay, thank you for the time and screen, Mrs. Host. So I want to ask about your recommendation about larger sample is better. I mean, like, why do we need a larger population? And yeah, what is the correlation between the amount of population and the quality of the research? Thank you.
Okay. The researchers give the recommendation for the further research to be implemented on a larger sample population so that the result of the study can be generalized. So from this the article or the research that I use, they only test it, the Flipgrid, on the one high school, that is Mekong Delta, and I think it's like only one area or like one high school called the Mekong Delta. And why it should be like more general. Oh, I'm sorry. I think you also asked about the why it should be done in larger sample. I think because if it's done in larger sample, it can be generalized, and then later it can be used as, what is it called? I think if it's more generalized and use more like, if it use more larger sample, it can be more generalized. I think it can be used as like, what is it? Like one study that many people can use to. So like many people can relate whether it is really, whether the use of Flipgrid is really like effective or not, or maybe it's really give the good effect or not. Does that answer your question? Or
Yes, thank you for the answer.
okay, thank you.
Okay, once again, thank you so much for the good presentation, Devi. And since Hasbi hasn't here yet, so Fatihul, are you ready?
Nirmala, sorry to interrupt. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Because we have 3 presenters for today. So before we continue for the next presenter, I would like to give a little feedback. Yeah, maybe a few feedback related to the presenter. Okay. The first one, I will start with Anissa Devi. Related to Fatihul question about the recommendation, why should the author give such kind of recommendation? It means it could be conducted, I mean that the research will be conducted with a larger sample or population. I can say here that further, I mean that talking about recommendation, it is actually the gap. it could be see as the gap of the research. I mean that, okay, maybe for the next year you are interested to conduct it, what should I say, to conduct it research related to the speaking skill. So you can see from the recommendation. So recommendation is the gap. It is to avoid, ma'am, is it possible and it is not auto-plagiasi? No. So maybe in the previous research, the sample is only, for example, 15 students, and then you, what should I say, you choose 100 students. Is there any differences? So as long as the sample more than the previous one, it could be considered as the gap. Okay, that's the first one. And then the second one related to still to Devi, Devi, in your introduction, my suggestion is since you are talking about speaking, maybe, not maybe, again, my suggestion, please focus to the speaking. Don't talk about English in general. So if you said that English consists of blah, 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 blah skill, all of us know about that. Remember that your audience are academician. It means that your background of the knowledge of your audience are well, what should I say, well informed related to English education. So please start it with actually, what is the importance of the speaking in? Maybe you try to make correlation with 21st century. And then, is that related to the PowerPoint? Anissa, please write the point, not the PPT, not the text. So it is not a power text. I think that I have the same comment with Sauki juga ya tadi. If I'm not mistaken, that Sauki, you write a lot of text in your PowerPoint. Remember, it is a PowerPoint, so you must, what should I say, attract your audience, attract your reader by providing with the picture, and then you can tell about the picture, use your own word. Maybe you can, if I can say, it's a kind of a trick, trick or tips, if I can say. Maybe you can, what should I say, bold your PowerPoint in the wall, and then you can read, but you are still focusing on your Zoom meeting. It is not apa ya, power text tadi, if I'm not mistaken, Sauki Sauki. Again, for all presenter, please practice your English, practice your pronunciation, practice your grammar. I'm still find many mistake in grammar, many mistake in pronunciation, but it is okay. What should I say? Practice. I mean that practice, practice, and practice. This is our keyword, Practice and practice. Remember, practice make me perfect. Okay, it is for all. But Anissa tadi, wait a minute. I check the grammar. Okay, and then related to the mastering the material. Mastering the material. For all. To write your, what should I say, literature review, please focus on your research question. Please focus on the title. So actually, what does the title talks about? What does the research question talks about? The research question, the title, in my opinion, it is the body knowledge of our article, of our manuscript. So you must know, if I want to discuss about speaking for atau Flipgrid to improve speaking. So your literature review, it means that you must write speaking skill, assessing speaking, and then Flipgrid. And then try to make correlation between Flipgrid and speaking. That's the same with Sauki. You are talking about what should I say? Mobile, mobile. What should I say? If I'm not mistaken, mobile apa tadi? Mobile
Mobile device, ma'am.
Mobile device. Okay. When you are talking about mobile device, and it can be used to teach what skill? Listening, yeah, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, okay. Listening. Listening and speaking. Okay. Have you found in that article type of the text that is used by the author? Is it a transactional text or long functional text or short functional text? Have you got the point in your article, Sauki?
I don't know, ma'am. Maybe I will check again because I already forgot about the content.
So Sauki, my suggestion, please focus. Actually, when we are talking about a skill, and then we must try to make correlation between type of the text. Actually, what is the type of the text that is used by that author at that time? So how, what should I say? Mobile devices used to teach listening. How mobile devices to teach speaking, and then related to Haliza question. Okay, and then Adinda, yeah, related to Adinda question. Except how about if the student is still GAPTEC? Okay, may I ask you a question? In what year do you take this article? When I mean that when was the article published? 2015, 2019, or 2020, or 2021? Sauki?
If I remember correctly, this is a new research. Ma'am.
New research. New research is mean that it is still around 2020 or it is still around 2021.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
I'm still opening the file again to make sure.
Again, hello, all of you, my
Oh,
students.
no, ma'am. It's 2014.
2014.
14, yes.
Oh, it is still 2014. It means that actually in what generation? It is for senior high school or junior high school or for higher education student?
It was said for elementary students, ma'am.
It is for elementary school. Yeah, elementary school student. Yeah. Okay. So could you explain? What about if that student are not or were not familiar with the gadget? Have you got the point in your article?
Wait a second, ma'am.
What I mean that's what did the author do when some students weren't familiar with the gadget, with the mobile devices? Have you got that information from your article?
Well, yes, but it's already said in my presentation before that even though they don't really familiar with the mobile device, they are already familiar with computers and internet itself. So learning mobile device, it's not gonna be that difficult for them.
Okay.
So I think they will learn quite fast about using the mobile device.
Okay. Again, I still have a question. So, do you know what is the name of the generation? Do you know the name of the generation? It means that, okay, remember this article was published in 2014. Yeah, 2014. And the author have used mobile devices. And then it was used for primary students. It was used for primary students. So actually 2014, it could be considered as a Z generation or millennial generation. How do you classify them? Do you know the definition of Z generation and millennial generation? Are you familiar with that term?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Some
So
point.
How do you differentiate between Z generation and millennial generation?
That's kind of hard actually.
It's a hard question, no? I think. Any volunteer to answer my question?
Pardon, ma'am?
Okay, could you differentiate between the Z generation and millennial generation? Yes, come on. Who raised hand?
May I?
Yes, come on.
So the difference between the millennial and the Gen Z is first is the birth, the year, the birth year, I guess. The millennial the millennials were born in before 1995, if I'm not mistaken.
Before
So they
1995,
are-
okay.
So they actually quite good in technology, but not as good as the Gen Z, because in the Gen Z we are on the transitioning between the old school way into the more modern school way. So yeah, so like we are introduced into a lot of inventions, for example, like smartphone, internet, and Facebook, for example. So yeah,
Okay.
I think if we compare the traits, the Gen Z has more master more the technology rather than the millennials.
Okay, Fatih, if I ask you, okay, the Gen Z or Z generation was born, it was around 2000 or 20?
For the Gen Z, it's around 1995 until 2010, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh no. So Gen Z, if I'm not mistaken, Gen Z is 2010 until 2000. Sorry.
That's the Alpha generation, ma'am.
Alpha generation is 2010 until now. It's
Yes,
Alpha
ma'am.
generation. So in a Gen Z, it's 1995 until 2020. 2010.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, it is a Gen Z. What about the millennial? Millennial itu it means that the generation were born. It's around to 1995 until 1983. It could
Yes,
be
I guess,
considered
ma'am.
as a millennial.
I mean, usually the people who just who get just get a job, I guess today, it's it can be considered as a millennial, I guess.
Okay, so why I ask you to be considered about the generation or a Gen Z or Zen millennial generation or Alpha generation. So my question is, okay, next year, I mean that after you graduate from this study program, you will be a teacher and you must know your student characteristic. So remember that your student characteristic is an Alpha generation. It means that they are very familiar with a gadget because they are native. They were born and then their parent will introduce a gadget to that student. I mean that to that baby or that kid. So you must know about that. Okay, and then still with the Sauki, Sauki, related to the literature review, it is related to mastering your material. My suggestion, actually, you write about the apa ya? What should I say? The advantages of devices, and then try to make a relationship between mobile devices that can be used to teach listening and speaking, because I cannot see that procedure. Have you got the point what I say?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, okay. And then again, check your writing. I mean that if I'm not mistaken, check again, yeah. I find a small letter in the initial sentences. Come on, check again. If I'm not mistaken. If you have done very well, I'm so sorry. Maybe I miss. Okay, check your writing. Okay, and then Sauki, do you still have any comment related to my feedback? Sauki, you are still mute.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any question?
No, ma'am.
Oh, okay. My feedback to Putri, I think that the first one, the first one that please write research question first, and then it will be continued to purpose. Okay, don't be vice versa ya, jangan terbalik. If I'm not mistaken, that you are writing purpose and then you continue to research question. Putri, check again your pronunciation. I mean that please practice before you perform. And then check your grammar. I mean that the participant are more than one, or the participant word plural. Maybe you can say the participant word blah 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 blah. And write the important aspect in your article that you have chosen. So I think that's almost the same. Okay, I think that's all, Nirmala. So I give screen to you.
Okay, thank you so much for the time, ma'am. So since Hasbi isn't here yet, so the next presenter will be Fatihul. Fatihul, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, yes. Please share your screen and time is yours.
All right, thank you for the screen and the time. So good evening, everyone. So my name is Vic, and in this occasion, I want to share my presentation about this open world video game to improve for improving the non-native students foreign language learning motivation. So in this presentation, I emphasize the learning motivation because it's very essential for the learning process. Because a lot of people said that if we lack of motivation, we will not enjoy the process. And okay, for the background, foreign language is essential for someone who wants to spread his or her influence, because we are living in the globalization. So global competition is real. So everyone, no matter what country you are, is fighting against everyone. So yeah, it's very tough up there. Mastering foreign language would be beneficial for you to to be able to play your role in the global competition. And then the problem for this research is the problem for the language learning process in Indonesia, especially in English, is the process is usually monotone, because usually people just usually the current teacher sometimes just give a passage, and then you just this teacher might only give a passage and then try to answer every question there, and that's it, usually like that. So like it's too monotone, so that it gets the students bored. And for the solution is the integrating video game into foreign language learning. The reason why I choose the video game is because we are going to teach an alpha generation, which is which is the master of technology. So they would likely to play video game a lot than our generation. So it's worth to try to use the video game into a foreign language, because the old game, for example, like I don't know, the old game can be integrated in learning. So why video game not? And let's go to and for the literature review, I picked two literature review from Guerrero Calvis in 2011, that mentioning that GDA San Andreas improves learning motivation in military school, and then Haryanto and Sari in 2012, and mentioning that open world game can be an attractive way to teach Mandarin to Indonesian students. Well, I choose there is this literature review about the Mandarin thing. It's actually quite similar because Mandarin is a foreign language. It's also considered as a foreign language. Therefore, I think cited this literature review is still related to the to the research. And for the research question is how do we integrate open world video game in with the foreign language learning? Because as we know that if we just let the students play with a video game, they will not play, they will not learn something. So therefore, we need to figure out how we integrate and how to use this video game into the learning process. And according to the articles that I have gathered, so the first article is about the GTA San Andreas. So in this article, the participant of this research is from the Colombian students from a military academic, and then the instruments that were used in this research were field note, and then survey and semi-structured interview. And then for the method, the students studied English by using GTA San Andreas with some restrictions. The language in game had to be English and no main or side missions. So the students were heavily surveillance by the teacher so that they won't do anything outside the book. And then for the second article is about the series game, the open world game, and the participants of this game is the people who download this game from the internet, because the author of this article is probably is developer, an application developer, so they need to know how effective this application for the people. And then the instrument is the survey, and the method for this research is the developer created a video game and containing the material from the educators, and then share it to the internet so that people can download it and use it as a learning media. Sorry. And the result. Oh yeah. Before we continue the result, I want to give. I forget to mention that this research are both researches are qualitative research. So the result of this is usually about the opinion of the users and the subject. So for the opinions in the GTA San Andreas article, the students were more engaged with GTA San Andreas learning, for they can learn something new in every meeting. Because when they learn using the GTA San Andreas, they can explore the map, they can ask anything to the teacher so that they feel excited to learn. And then for the series game, open world game, the app is interesting, which makes the users get engaged. And then it need to be developed further for more difficult and various materials. And the discussion, the result from both studies is video games can improve learning motivation by presenting video games in the learning process under certain circumstances. So it's not just free. Everyone can play video game and then learn something from there. No, it's not like that. Students can play video game, but it has to be structured. It has to be surveillance by the teacher. And the conclusion is the open world video game is worth to be implemented in Indonesia. And I think that's all for the presentation. If there is any question, please raise your hand. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for the great presentation. And we have Wildan who has raised his hand. So Wildan, please unmute yourself and ask your question right away to Vic.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. Before that, am I audible?
Yes, Wildan,
Yes, you are.
Okay, thank you very much. So my question is, as we know that video games such as Grand Theft Auto and then open world video games is mostly, people could become a good character and bad character. Besides, it could improving learning motivation. Is implementing this open world video game in Indonesia will affect the character of Indonesian students itself. That's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you for the good questions, Butan. So, talking about the characters from the game, whether it's good or bad, GTA San Andreas main character is a gangster. So from the name, itself, it's not looking, it doesn't sound great. So yeah, it's actually we can use another open world game which is less harmful than the Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, and also that is the teacher for in this learning. So the teacher is the one who steer the students. So the teacher can what is it can can manage what kind of video game that they can integrate in the learning process, and then what kind of event or mission or some or activity that we can do in the video game. So it depends on the teacher. So as if the teacher is a good person, I guess the teacher can can differentiate which one is good and bad, which character is good, and which is bad, and they can formulate a good learning process which is exciting for the students. I think that's all. Is that answering your question?
Yes, Vic, thank you very much for the answer.
My pleasure.
Okay, once again, thank you so much for the great presentation, Vic. Since Haswi isn't here yet, it seems like Kais will be our last presenter for today. So, Kais, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, yes, please share. Yeah, please share the screen and time is yours.
Okay, thank you. All right, good evening, audience. So my name is Kaistia Maharani, and today I want to present about the use of YouTube in developing the speaking skills of Jordanian EAVL University students. A research by Hadil Said, Ahmad Haidar, Saleh Al-Salman, and Riyad F. Hussein. Okay, so speaking is an important skill in language proficiency that holds the key to the effectiveness of communication. However, speaking skills are also the main problem or the main thing that raises insecurities among second language learners. Most EAVL learners feel afraid and not confident to speak using second language. For that, there's one promising solution to deal with the problem, which is teaching speaking skills using YouTube videos. As we know, nowadays, YouTube is a popular platform among students. This platform provides such rich content, including the relevant content for EAVL learners. Moreover, using YouTube, language learners can learn in a more fun and meaningful ways. To know the effect of YouTube in speaking skills classes, the research was conducted based on two research questions. First, is there significant progress and improvement in speaking performance of the students subjected to YouTube compared to those who are taught the traditional way? And second, if so, which of the following sub-skills